all for being here. Chairwoman, it was nice to speak with you as well. It's good to see everybody here today. I represent the fourth most underserved district in the country, and the other districts that are 1, 2, and 3 are adjacent to me. So I'd really like to speak on behalf of not just my own district, Midland and Odessa, San Angelo, the rural areas, the national security area that we talk about, energy production, agriculture, but also places like Lubbock, places like Amarillo, and a lot of West Texas throughout the Permian Basin. Just kind of looking back at the funds that have been distributed, I just ran into my predecessor, Mike Conaway, in the halls walking here, and he brings me back to 2009, in conversations when he was chairman of the Agriculture Committee a couple of years later, with the amount of funds that have been put towards getting access in rural America. It's hard to think about 6G when we're still, waiting for 25.3 service in my own district. I think that one of the things we have to focus on is the competition, commercialization, the competition with China. It's very important. So obviously 6G is important. But when it comes to the maps and when it comes to prioritizing rural needs, whether it be precision agriculture or the production of energy, Chairwoman, can you maybe give us some assurance that before doing 6G that we're going to have actual service, just broadband service, just in general, in places like my district?
So with respect to wireless, we've talked a lot about maps for wired, but not wireless. And in fact, we are actually developing the nation's most accurate wireless maps right now, too. For the first time ever, we're getting all of our carriers to give us data based on the same metrics and same systems and the same assumptions. So what we're trying to do is identify where there is service, where you'll get bars today, and where you won't. And once we get that down, we'll be able to also identify what areas are going to need support for wireless service everywhere. One of the cool new tools we have is the FCC's speed test app. If you put it on your phone in an anonymized way, you can check the speed you're getting on your phone, but it will report right back to us and tell us where you're standing and what kind of speeds you get. So we're actually taking advantage of some crowdsourced information to make sure our in-house mapping initiative for wireless is even more correct and even more accurate.
Is that mapping process taking into account community interaction and commercial partners as well?
Well, on the wired side, we've done a lot of community outreach because a lot of states have, and even localities and municipalities have broadband task force and broadband offices. So we're developing those ties right now because I don't think we're going to be able to produce all this data in Washington without asking people to check and tell us what's happening in the communities where they live.
Okay, great. Commissioner Carr, anything to add to that?
No, I think as we've discussed, we have really an unprecedented influx of federal dollars designed to end the digital divide. And so it's not a funding challenge at the problem in terms of the build out of infrastructure. It's a policy implementation. We've got to focus on the places of this country that have 0 megabit over 0 megabit. I want everybody to get the latest and the greatest, whether it's 6G, whether it's 100 megabit service, but we have to focus first and foremost on the places that are still on dial-up, still on almost nothing, because if we focus there, we can make a big difference with the funding that we have right now.
Yeah, Chairwoman.
I just want to make a plug for another map that we have, which is called the Broadband Funding Map. Congress asked us to create it, and most people don't even know that it exists, but it's a map of all these programs that we are now presently funding, not just at the FCC, but at the Department of Commerce, the Rural Utilities Service, the Department of Treasury. We are trying to take in every single program and produce data on a single map. So you can see what the government has funded, and you can go check and see what's happening in those areas, and you can also identify areas that we might have missed. I think that map is just as important as our national broadband map, and it's one that I'd certainly want this committee to be aware of as you look at our progress.
Well, thank you. And when we look at those maps, again, I'm going to highlight the national security issue of providing food for this country and providing energy. And I want to make sure that, as we spoke about on the phone, that there's no bias that is inflicted by this agency, by the FCC, when it comes to climate agendas and things that we've seen. That there are biases that are out there, but providing broadband, providing coverage to the Permian Basin and the surrounding areas is very important. Mr. Chair, my time has expired. I yield back.